The path of Xiao Yan toward becoming a Dou Sheng saint begins. It's hard to believe that in just one more episode, we will see Xiao Yan reach this legendary realm. He is likely to become the youngest saint in the entire history of the Dou Qi continent. Yes, he's not exactly 20 years old, but around 27 or 28. However, the author of the original work likes to refer to Xiao Yan as a 20-year-old young man. Reaching the level of Dou Huang at 20 years old is already considered a sign of a genius, while Dou Huang is an even rarer achievement. However, at the same age of 20, Xiao Yan accomplished the unprecedented feat of breaking through directly to the Dou Sheng level. When an enormous pillar of Dou Qi rose above the falling star pavilion and a fiery lotus illuminated the entire faction, everyone was shocked. Especially the honored Feng, who had spent most of his life protecting the pavilion. Tears welled up in his eyes as he watched the young man whose growth he had witnessed with his own eyes. But, as usual, let's begin with the analysis of the episode. Xiao Yan's five-colored lotus was so powerful that it managed to severely injure a high-level half-saint Ban Sheng. As you may have noticed, Yao Lao appeared earlier this time, not allowing Xiao Yan to use the body of the Golden Giant against Gu Yu, as it happened in the original story. After parting ways with the Hun clan, Xiao Yan, his companions, and Yao Lao returned to the Falling Star Pavilion. Xiao Yan decided not to purify the Bodhisattva heart immediately after returning to the pavilion. He understood how crucial this process was. It had to be done perfectly, without even the slightest mistake. Realizing this, Xiao Yan spent an entire month preparing himself to reach his best possible state. Both he and Yao Lao put in tremendous effort to maximize his chances of advancing to the half-saint level. At that time, Xiao Yan was at the peak of the 9-star Dou Zun stage. He intended to break through to the half-saint realm. But what happened next was simply astonishing. He went even further beyond. Everyone understood that if Xiao Yan successfully broke through, the power of the Falling Star Pavilion would rise tremendously. With both him and Yao Lao reaching the Ban Sheng level, even ancient sects would think twice before provoking them. Yao Lao specially crafted a high-grade pill and gave it to Xiao Yan, the Bodhisattva pill. It triggered an 8-colored lightning strike from the heavens. By combining this pill with the Bodhisattva heart, the chance of a successful breakthrough to the half-saint level increased significantly. Breaking into the half-saint class was already extremely difficult, not to mention the level of a true saint. To achieve this, one needed many key components. In Xiao Yan's case, these were the best possible materials: the Bodhisattva heart and the 8th grade pill that summoned 8-colored lightning. Yao Lao took on all pavilion affairs himself, insisting that Xiao Yan's most important task was to break through as soon as possible. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to absorb the purifying lotus flame that was expected to appear in 3 years, a heavenly flame far too terrifying to handle without enough strength. Xiao Yan agreed. This was a barrier that could completely transform him. For over 10 years, he had been pursuing this heavenly flame ranked 3rd on the heavenly flame ranking. There was no way he could give up now. Thus, Xiao Yan said goodbye to his teacher Yao Lao, to Kai Lin, and to his daughter, and went into long seclusion. Yao Lao sighed and said that now all they could do was wait for Xiao Yan to succeed in becoming a half-saint. He then waved his hand, took Xiao Xiao in his arms, and slowly left. Kai Lin and the others followed. None of them could have imagined that this seclusion would last for 2 whole years. During this time, many events occurred, the latest being that the Falling Star Pavilion was declared war upon. The enemy faction arrived with 3 half-saints, the old monster Tianming and the 2nd and 3rd Hall Masters Tianzins of the Hall of Souls. Unfortunately, it was extremely difficult for Yao Lao to fight against such powerful enemies. First, the old monster Tianming appeared through spatial distortion with his spiritual river alliance. Yao Lao's gaze swept over the large group behind him, at least 100 people, about half of them at the Dou Zun level. With Tianming himself being a half-saint, this formation was terrifying. To compare, during the recent invasion of the Jiama Empire, there had been only a couple dozen Dou Zuns in total. Here, Tianming alone brought around 50. It was a formidable army, but still not enough to destroy the Falling Star Pavilion. After years of development, the pavilion now had as many strong experts as the Spiritual River Alliance. Moreover, Yao Lao himself was a powerful Ban Sheng, equal to Tianming. With a wave of Yao Lao's hand, countless strong auras erupted. Wave after wave of Dou Qi pillars surged into the sky. The pavilion had clearly prepared for this. The great battle was about to begin. However, Tianming was not alone. Space near him distorted again. Two dark, monstrous auras burst out. Yao Lao's expression darkened. The Hall of Souls. You really intervened. The first to emerge was Gu Yu, the second Hall Master of the Hall of Souls. Behind him came another figure, whose aura was slightly weaker but still that of an early-stage half-saint, the third Hall Master. 3 half-saints. Their combined presence made even veteran experts tremble in fear. Yet Yao Lao, Honored Feng, Kai Lin, and Xiao Yixian showed no signs of retreat. The battle began. This chapter is called The Great Battle of the Star Realm. As stated, Yao Lao took on the 2 high-level half-saints, Gu Yu and Tianming. Queen Medusa, Qing Lin, and Xiao Yixian were tasked with stopping the early-stage half-saint. The half-saint realm was divided into early, middle, and late stages, each vastly different in strength. The third Hall Master had just recently advanced to this level and hadn't yet fully mastered his new power. Though Kai Lin and her 2 allies could not defeat him, they could at least hold him off for a while. Yao Lao was taking a great risk, but he had no choice. He and the 3 women were the strongest experts present. No one else could face half-saints. If he allowed the enemy half-saints to attack the pavilion's other experts, they would be massacred. The pavilion would be wiped out. Thus, he had to fight them no matter the cost. A furious battle cry erupted. Countless experts from both sides charged into the sky, clashing in midair. The explosions shook the entire star realm. Yao Lao released his mighty aura and fought both Gu Yu and Tianming. At first, he managed to suppress them. Although all 3 were high-level half-saints, Yao Lao had the advantage thanks to his immense spiritual power as an alchemist. Against opponents of equal cultivation, this gave him overwhelming strength. Gu Yu and Tianming soon attacked together. While Yao Lao was holding them back, the third Hall Master looked down at the chaotic battlefield. Just as he was about to join in, 7-colored lightning suddenly descended from the sky. It was the 7-colored sky-swallowing python of Queen Medusa. Soon he also sensed the deadly poison of Xiao Yixian and the power of Qing Lin's ancient heavenly serpent. Although all 3 women were at the peak Dou Zun level, their combined powers, the heavenly swallowing python, the lethal Dou Qi poison, and the control over an ancient serpent, pressured even him, a newly advanced half-saint. Still, he was a true Ban Sheng. Though their abilities were extraordinary, they could not truly match him in strength. Today, the falling star pavilion will be destroyed. The third Hall Master laughed coldly. Meanwhile, small cracks began spreading across the mountains. Something deep within was awakening. The battle in the sky was fierce beyond imagination. Waves of Dou Qi could obliterate any Dou Zun instantly. Yao Lao was clearly struggling. Tianming unleashed his terrifying technique, the bottomless sky palm, but Yao Lao countered it, injuring Tianming in the process. However, as Yao Lao began to tire, Gu Yu seized the chance and struck him hard. Though Yao Lao resisted, pain spread through his body. He was being overwhelmed. At that moment, he saw Kai Lin in her python form being sent flying by the third Hall Master. Her scales shattered, and blood rained from the sky. Xiao Yixian, enraged, raised a gray-brown bead, the terrifying poison cataclysm. A deadly mist erupted toward the third Hall Master. A black shadow appeared before her, striking her down. Xiao Yixian spat blood, but the poisonous liquid still splashed on the third Hall Master's clothes, burning through them instantly and corroding his flesh to the bone. Realizing how deadly the poison was, he cut off his own arm to stop it from spreading. Furious, he turned on Xiao Yixian, about to kill her, when Qing Lin intervened. Her triple pupils barely allowed her to hold him back. The star realm fell into chaos. The outcome depended entirely on which half-saint battle ended first. But Yao Lao, Kai Lin, and the others were clearly being overwhelmed. Gu Yu and Tianming continued their assault. Yao Lao grew weaker and weaker. Then, distracted by Qing Lin's injury, he was struck from behind. A ghostly palm slammed into his back, making him spit blood and crash into the ground. The hearts of all pavilion members trembled as they saw their leader fall. If Yao Lao was defeated, their morale would collapse completely. Tianming smirked and shouted for Guyu to finish him off. Tianmin smiled, sensing that the star realm had grown much quieter. Then he waved his hand. He looked at the pale-faced Yao Lao, who was struggling to rise, and coldly said, "Yao Chen, remember, you alone are responsible for your current fate." Yao Lao wiped the traces of blood from the corners of his mouth. His fierce gaze landed on Tianmin and Guyu. Madness was gradually growing in his eyes. Tianmin ordered Guyu, "Kill him. Otherwise, if we hesitate, the situation may change." As the old demon Tianmin and Guyu prepared a lethal attack to finally finish off Yao Lao, the entire star realm suddenly trembled. All the mountains began shaking violently, as if an earthquake had struck. A sea of flames erupted, and a familiar chilling cry suddenly echoed across the star realm. At the critical moment, Xiao Yan finally emerged from meditation. His breakthrough was complete. Monstrous flames burst from deep within the mountains. "Today, anyone who does not belong to my pavilion will die." A dense aura and overwhelming pressure spread at lightning speed as this dangerous voice rang out in the sky. Feeling this monstrous aura, which carried immense pressure, the old demon Tianmin and Guyu instantly grew serious. Shock appeared on their faces. They shouted in disbelief. "A saint? How is this possible?" A figure in black approached. This figure slowly appeared before everyone's eyes. Xiao Yan, the junior head of the pavilion, has emerged from his seclusion. Exclamations of various emotions erupted at the sight of this familiar figure. The people of the Falling Star Pavilion were filled with wild joy, while the others were shocked. How could this be? This young man, 2 years ago, was only at the peak of the Dou Zun level. How could he have instantly broken through to the saint level? Moreover, he was a true saint. The second hall master of the Soul Hall looked in disbelief at the young figure walking through the waves of flames. The answer was simple. It's the Bodhisattva heart. He obtained the Bodhisattva heart. All battles halted at this moment. The terrifying pressure he exuded made even the souls of peak Dou Zuns tremble in fear. This pressure was many times stronger than that of a half-saint Ban Sheng. Xiao Yan appeared beside Yao Lao. "Teacher, forgive me. Leave everything to me." The strongest experts above Dou Zun, including Yao Lao, could feel Xiao Yan's current power. A one-star saint. He was not a half-saint Ban Sheng, but a true saint. There was a difference of just one word between these levels, but the gap in power was terrifying. Although elite half-saints Ban Sheng could also be called saints, because such experts possessed power far beyond a Dou Zun, they could only be strictly described as not true saints. Only when someone truly reached the one-star level could they be called a true saint. The half-saint Ban Sheng level was divided into initial, middle, and high stages. These stages seemed small, but surpassing them was extremely difficult. For example, decades had passed since Guyu advanced to the half-saint Ban Sheng level, yet he only reached the high stage. Other experts could spend decades at the advanced Ban Sheng rank and still fail to break through to the one-star saint level. This clearly illustrated the immense gap between a one-star saint and a high-level half-saint Ban Sheng. Yes, Xiao Yan was no longer a Dou Zun. He had leaped over the half-saint Ban Sheng level and, in just 2 short years, reached the one-star saint level. Once everything had settled, the members of the pavilion greeted Saint Xiao Yan. "Now, you have finally surpassed your teacher." Yao Lao sighed softly and emotionally. When he first met Xiao Yan, he had been a mere child in the clan. Over the years, relying on his astonishing perseverance, this young man had slowly reached his current threshold of power. At this moment, Xiao Yan finally ascended to the peak of the Dou Qi continent. Having reached the saint level, the most exciting chapter began. Xiao Yan acted fearlessly, settling scores with many factions that owed him, a good example being the Wind and Lightning Pavilion. Thus, by purifying the Bodhisattva heart and using the 8-colored lightning pill of rank 8, Xiao Yan reached the legendary level of SAINT Dou Sheng. It took more than 2 years for the breakthrough, but the result was worth it. Now he could even consider the cleansing lotus flame. Thank you very much for watching. Write in the comments whether you are looking forward to this magnificent moment. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and goodbye to all.